Hey YouTube subscribers, welcome to a market update. I want to talk about something. On Tuesday during the market appreciation webinar, I don't know how we can link that, maybe a card somewhere here. If you go watch that, I talked about COP, ConocoPhillips, and how there were crazy number of options traded on Tuesday. I mean, like a ridiculous amount, almost 400,000. 415,000. I'm getting it up on the screen here. 415,000 calls versus 11,000 puts. Now, 394,398 of those options traded between the 81 and 100 delta. That's seriously in the money. I mean, way in the money. And then 361,000 of those traded between the market, between the bid and ask, almost at the mid. So, after thinking about this and looking at it, and then I had some astute followers follow up with me, and they said, hey, check it out. Open up that January options chain, and those options are gone. They're gone. Like, they were here, but now they're gone. Now, we're not talking about this option chain for January 21, the 146-100. That's a split, option. That's something. That's a remnant of a prior split for ConocoPhillips. We're talking about the regular January 21st, 2022 calls. And when you look in here, that crazy 79,000, 80,000 call volume that was in here, it's gone. It's not in the open interest. So I talked to some people and I tried to figure out where did those calls go? They asked me some questions, and I came to the realization that this was a crazy stock moving deal, and they used the options market to do it. And what am I talking about? Well, when we look at that options volume, 394,000 in the 81 to 100 delta. Those are some serious in the money options. That means you're not paying much implied volatility to get those options. So pretty much what you're paying is what is the real cost of it. Now, to get filled at the mid though, that's unusual. There's not very many market makers that are going to fill you at the mid. They need to make their money. If you're going to buy, you're going to buy low at the bid. If you're going to sell, you're going to sell high at the ask. So, by buying at the bid, there just weren't enough contracts that happened there. It was all at the mid. So two parties had agreed on what to happen, what to have happen here. So somebody was on one side of this trade and somebody was on the other side of this trade, and they transacted that 361,814 contracts. The rest we can write off as like market hype. So 361,814 contracts transacted right there, and they spread them out across some different strikes and some different expirations, but they were all at that deep in the money right there. Now let's pop up a calculator and look at some numbers here. See if I can find the calculator. Yeah, here we go. So if we have 361,814 contracts, let's just go with those between the market, and just let's just say it's that much. Now times 100 shares for each one, that's 36,181,000 shares. Let's just call it 36 million. Let's write off the 100, whatever. So 36 million. Now, those contracts are gone. They didn't open them and close them the same day. What they did was they opened them, and then they executed them the same day. So what that did, just looking at it, the 50 strike got my attention because a large chunk, there was like 80,000 right in that neighborhood, and they sold for roughly $27. That 50 strike, they were selling at $27, and that represented it was trading about 77 on Tuesday. ConocoPhillips was. It's down to 75 today. But so that 27 was almost at at the market, and then the 50 represented the other. So you got 36 million shares times $77 roughly. So that's a $2.7 billion stock transfer that went through. Somebody moved $2.7 billion of stock, 36 million shares, from one place to another, and it didn't go across the regular normal market. Isn't that crazy? Somebody moved $2.7 billion in shares. Let's round down, 2.5 billion. $2.5 billion worth of stock changed hands, and it just went right through the options market. Isn't that crazy? That's the kind of games that happen in the options market. So this, I thought somebody was loading up and getting a position. Apparently they were loading up shares, because those options contracts are not in, they're just not there anymore. They had to be closed out. The way you close them out, you buy them and then you call them. And when when they're deep in the money like that, you didn't pay much premium. So however, whatever deal they worked, you had a buyer and a seller of the options, and then they called the options away and let the transaction close out. That's the only thing I see that happened in the market. I mean, that's where these contracts had to go, as far as I can tell. So somebody big moved a bunch of shares from one place to another, and it didn't even go across the normal stock volume. Isn't that wild? They hid it from all of us. So that's one of the things that can happen in the options market, apparently. And nobody was the wiser. I didn't see this come across any mainstream media anywhere. But somebody moved in the neighborhood of $2.5 to $2.7 billion of stock in ConocoPhillips from one place to another. They did it partly via options, and then they called the options, and the strike price paid the rest of the cash. So I found it extremely fascinating, and I wanted to make a video and show it to you guys and follow up with what I'd shown everybody during the session on Tuesday with these crazy numbers. Well, they're just not there anymore. And several of you have reached out and said, "What? Where did those options go? I don't see them anymore." Well, that's what happened. That has to be what happened. I mean, they were buys. They came across my scanners as buys, and the volume is there. When you look at how much buy volume there was, there's not equivalent sell volume anywhere in there for those options to have been closed back out. And the volume's still on the options. Like if you pull up the chart for these options, which I don't know how to do in Tasty or in TOS, Thinkorswim, but I do know how to do it in E-Trade, and I have done it in E-Trade. I looked at it, and it's just, there's no closing volume. It was just opening volume, and then it's gone. There's no open interest, which means they executed those contracts. They called the stock. So, interesting. It's the first time I've hypothesized that this was possible for a number of years with several of my inside friends that trade options. We've hypothesized that you could do something like this. This is the first time that I saw it happen with my own two eyes, and I've put it on video for you guys. So that's pretty crazy. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. I wanted to explain this out so that y'all could see what happened, or at least what I am like 90% sure happened. And it's something crazy out there. Just that somebody can move $2.7 billion worth of stock from one place to another and it not make any kind of news. So, all right. Hope you like, subscribe for more content like this and more videos, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.